Hi, I'm Kendra Corman. If you're a coach, consultant, or marketer, you know marketing is far from a perfect science. And that's why this show is called Imperfect Marketing. Join me and my guests as we explore how to grow your business with marketing tips and, of course, lessons learned along the way. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Imperfect Marketing. I'm your host, Kendra Corman, and today I am very excited that we are joined by Audrey Tech Diva Wiggins, who has crowned herself, or has been crowned, I believe, as a tech diva in the world of marketing. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Kendra, it's amazing. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what is this tech diva thing about?
Kind of an early adopter and being innovative in my thinking. And we're going to go back before microcomputers and talk about the IBM Selectric 2 or 3, though, that glorious machine. And it was interesting because I worked at the American Heart Association, so there was a lot of fundraising. So I was in the fundraising department. I was the secretary. And so I had to, keep track of all the data from one of their events. So you have all these. You just think about an Excel spreadsheet. So we had all of these different categories and topics, and we didn't have anything like we have today. And in my mind, the way it worked, I came up with a spreadsheet on a typewriter, lines and everything. So you have the creative side, the innovative side, the mother of invention, or, necessity is the mother of invention. But I didn't know, and sometimes you just do things because you just do things. You don't have this could be a business or this is something I should patent. Nobody thinks like that, except Bill Gates. So he got it instead. But so that, of course, that was a long time ago. But throughout the years, that's just how things were for me. And I was always interested in whatever that next thing was, not gravitating, how sometimes we talk about the running after shiny objects, but just really whatever experience I was in, a job, and there was something new. I mean, we even some of the other software, when they were beginning to use Access, I worked with General Electric. And the person that really would have needed to use it, they were flying us to San Jose and to Atlanta to go to classes. Today that's not happening. We're on Zoom, right, or Riverside, whatever the technology is. And I went, and I was just thirsty for knowledge and learning.
I love that. I love learning myself. I do have a little bit of shiny object syndrome. I know you said you don't, but I do, because I always want to try the newest and greatest thing. But I don't consider myself techie. Right. Because I'm always looking for the things that make things easier, that are not necessarily hard to use tech. So that's one of my things. Now, how did you get into marketing? So that's your tech side, but what about marketing?
Yeah, marketing was really, I think, the crown, because whatever I was involved in, if it was church or some community group or even work, even though that wasn't my title, that was always, it's my passion, but it's something that's innate. That I was born with that gift. And if you want to put it like that. But, so I actually, going through college, and at first I was like journalism. I really wanted to do that. And then when I started undergrad and took an advertising class, it was over. It was over then, because the professor, he had guest speakers. They were from agencies and different parts of the marketing process, whatever, their expertise was. And I'm like this, let's so I'm soaking all in it. So by the time I graduated that same year, I started my business. It was crazy, because I was always in the network marketing or multi-level marketing. People call it different things. So you always had to sell, and market what you were doing. So there was a lot of different training, just because you were part of those, just being part of those organizations too along the way.
Yeah, no, there's always just so much to learn. And every time I learn something new, it gets me excited about that all the time. That's why working in an agency style setting, where I'm a small agency, right? Where I'm constantly working with different clients and learning about their business and what they do and applying my knowledge. It just energizes me on all of that stuff.
Yes, yes. I feel you right there.
So let's talk about balancing tech and like what's coming out and all the different things that people are using. How do you help entrepreneurs balance that with staying authentic and building relationships?
First of all, let's just look at what you're already using, and before you jump, ship and run over to another ship and see what what they're doing doing over there, because we can get caught up in because I go to a lot of workshops and things and different people using different tools, so I still like to know what's out there. But if I'm, working with you, I want to really, okay, so what is your purpose? What's your market? All of the normal parts of your business process and your thinking. Okay, so what tool, how can we automate or support what you're doing over here, with that? And if you already work with something, maybe it's not working, then let's look out. It's something new, to keep that balance. And then you're talking about the human factor part of it, but to me, the human part is the messaging that we put into these systems that we're using, so that we don't lose that, and to still always be available in some form or fashion, so our customers can see, touch, and feel us.
That part is really important, right? I mean, making sure that we're available. And I think that that is so hard today or nowadays, right? Because there's so many things that make that see, touch, feel piece, right? Easy to automate. So what are you telling people where their priorities should be?
Wow. I guess I'm going to go back to the messaging, but still, but customer service. And, as we probably both look back over the years in our jobs and business, that's really what got us to where we are, how we served that client. And whether it's our personal one or belong to ABC company, we still have to be there, even if we're doing, some mini trainings where people can see us on the screen, or, and getting out and networking is still so important. I can remember, 90s, early 2000s, there were events. We were always going to networking events. So you would run into your clients, you would meet new ones, or be prospects. So that way, so even if you set up an online community, you're still there's people can still talk to you and not your bot, on your website.
Yes, and I love how you talk about customer service, right? Even for us in the agency world, even when we were at companies, because yes, I would headed marketing departments inside companies, and everybody else was my customer, right? All of the other people in the company were my customer because it was my job to make sure that what they were doing had the light shined on it, right? And had that the priorities were made and made clear, and it was important to serve them, not just the outside world and our end customers, right? So I had to look at myself as like an internal resource that way. AI, automation, big data from, that AI made possible, all of the things, right? All of the different social media channels. I could go on and on of all the different things that everybody is talking about. How do you talk to or how do you work with people or what advice would you give to a business owner that gets overwhelmed with all the trends and the tech and all the things?
Grab one or two items that really resonate with you and learn it and work it to the hilt. Really, put the what did you say? Put the rubber to the road on those. And when you can delegate to technology, do that. And because everything it has sped up. This is, we're beyond the microwave generation, but that microwave really changed things. And we still had to eat, but it just helped us to get to the table faster, and we still use it, but it's fun though, because even last night, I actually cooked everything. It was like, "Oh, look at this," put it on the plate. It was, then I sat there and enjoyed it. So, but choose those, especially when you talk about the social media, because, be where your customers are. Well, technically, our customers are everywhere. It's just, but so you just choose 2 to start with, or 3, whatever you can manage, and then as you grow, you automate that. You still may be creating the content, you may be using chat to help you create the content, and because 'cause I'm a creative person, so I always prided myself of being for being a graphic designer. It's like, I'm not using that, you know? but you can still put your own self into that, because your own style, and because people will get to know your style. But so do that. And if you have the opportunity to delegate to a human, so you have a VA or you have a small team, then do that too, because we need to pull ourselves as owners. We're hands on so much, and we have to learn how to let go and trust. It's really the trusting part. We let it go, but we don't trust. So, so definitely that. But yeah, but choose a few things to get started with, and do those well, then automate as you go along.
I'm always telling people, couple different things that I want to pick on is, yeah, our customers are everywhere, right? Pick what you like and where you're willing to spend your time so you don't get burnt out. Just because everybody thinks you should be on TikTok doesn't mean you should be on TikTok, right? You can just be on LinkedIn or just on YouTube or whatever that is that makes you that that lights you up, that doesn't feel like so much work, is where you're going to be authentic and you're going to be able to engage and do all the things. I also talk to a lot of people about, and I try to do this myself too, is I look at my memberships. Like right now, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to renew as it comes up throughout the year in 2026. And the thing is what can I afford to renew and leverage? I mean, there was one point I think I was a member of 3 different chambers. I'm like, there was one, I think I only went to meetings and different things for one of them. And it's like, so what was the point of being a member of the other 2? Right? It adds up. And it's, if you can't leverage it, and I love how you said that about for social media too. If you can't leverage that membership, right? If you think of it that way fully, then don't start adding more things on. Right. And I think that is just a really, really cool insight. So thank you for that. Yeah. Start with 1 or 2 things, right? And then build on it, but be yourself for sure. Is there a story of an entrepreneur or a business transforming or transformation that's really stuck with you throughout your years of experience?
Wow. I think it's one where they had a website for years, and mine is under construction, so don't judge me. But the cobbler with the shoes, right? My stuff is raggedy, but
100%. Do as I say, not as I do.
oh my God. But anyway, so her website, when I came to her, it must have been built. Oh wow. It was built a long time ago. And you can tell the difference in technology, where the buttons look, the blocks, and you can tell that it was really old, and adding something over here in the sidebar. You keep adding stuff on, just patchwork it, right? Looking like Frankenstein. Told her I've been having that conversation, dropping those seeds for a while. And finally, because that's an investment. Finally, she bit the bullet, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was like the I don't know. It's like a Cinderella story. It just, the website was beautiful, and it did beautiful things. It wasn't just the front facing looking good. It was functional at the same time, and all the extra you know things that just really didn't belong there. Were gone. Yeah. So yeah, so that was major.
Yeah, that's such a strong thing, right? It wasn't a huge change. It was probably something that somebody had built and felt a ton of pride in, right? I have a client, I've been working on them for like 4 years to get their site mobile friendly, and the vendor they work with will do it for free. They refuse to update it. They just refuse. They're like, "But I spent so many nights and weekends doing this." And I'm like, "But your clients can't access it on their phone.
Right.
Like, that's not good."
Okay, talking about or speaking about where your clients are, they're on that phone looking up
Right?
everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've got clients of all ages that do everything on their phones. I rarely see my texts because I live in email and on my desktop, and I love my multiple screens, and I own my Gen X identity 100%. And so I don't do as much on my phone as like some of my clients do, even those that are 60 plus. It's not just a young person's game. And it's like, you got to have a mobile optimized site. The transformation that they could have is just amazing. And I love that you picked a website because you talk about, again, being the tech diva, but also just understanding the customer journey and what they're experiencing when they're going to the site cleans things up, makes it simpler for them. It's all about them, right?
Right. It's a store. Think about how we feel walking into a brick and mortar and you go into the department. So there's dresses, and all of a sudden, the, where did this coat come from? This is a dress. This doesn't belong there.
Yeah, it's a very different experience to walk into Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue than it is to walk into Macy's or Marshall's, right? It's a different feeling when everything's, you know, I guess crowding you versus spaced out for you to enjoy and admire and wander.
No, I said white space.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. Yes, that is definitely an argument for white space. I love that. So, what are the biggest branding mistakes? I mean, we talked a little bit about transformation and a website, but what are some of those big branding mistakes that you see people make and how do they get around to fix them? I mean, we identified websites as one.
Right, and this is kind of related. This is a pet peeve of mine. The Gmails, the AOLs, the Yahoos, Hotmails for your business email address. That I just where's the hammer? Let me break the glass on that one. Yeah, that I think that's a major branding mistake, and because people really don't. Oh, it's just my email. I'm communicating. Yes, you're communicating, but you should be communicating with your brand. And it just to me, it just, gives you, brings you up to a premium status, a professional status when your email address is matching your URL, your web address. So doing that, that to me, that's one of those branding mistakes that people make, and even putting it into your email signature. So if it wants, added it all together, it doesn't have to be chunky or, a whole bunch of lines, because sometimes they do get long. But if you're using even, say, like a digital business card, it can be put into your email signatures. So there's those two things, they're related to the branded email address and the email signature.
That branded email address is so important. I went on vacation back in 2024. I'm looking at the calendar, right? Went to Mexico for Thanksgiving and I wanted to hire a driver and found a resource that could get me a driver that could take us to certain places we wanted to go to because it was a little bit off the beaten path from where we normally went. And the guy had a Yahoo email address. And I was really nervous paying him by PayPal in his Yahoo email address. Now I did it and I was like, well, it's just a deposit. And I was like, PayPal's got protection. All right, we're going to give it a try. So thank goodness for PayPal, right? Because PayPal is what saved him because I don't think I would have wired him money. He had a website. That's where I found his information. And he's like, I've been doing this for 20 years. And I'm like, but I don't see any reviews. I don't see any, I don't see you having a company. And it made me nervous. Imagine how much business this guy could be doing if he didn't have a Yahoo email address, right? For people that are traveling from the US to Mexico and want to book travel.
Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir on that one, because it's like, that you look legitimate. It's about being legitimate. Okay,
And it's easy.
legit.
It's not hard.
Yeah, and it's
And
not expensive.
it's not expensive. I think people are misled and they think that it's expensive and hard, right? And again, like I said, I'm not techie by any stretch of my own imagination, but I can do this. So if I could do this, anybody can do it. All right. I love technology. I do. I really do love technology. A lot of people would say that I am techie, but I don't think so because I can break a lot of technology very easily. So that's where I draw the line. um, all right. So, okay. So we've got email addresses. Anything else that you see entrepreneurs making, business owners making in their branding?
Some people, believe it or not, especially we're talking about social media, are uncomfortable promoting themselves. And they feel like they're bragging or, so I mean, like way from the beginning, I was always in third person. I'm like, the company does this and I'm just out there, just like this, just change the syntax or whatever. But they're afraid it. And then I had this one lady, she would get the people that would engage on her post, not just with a like or a love or support, they would actually make comments. 200 people, 400 people. And this is about, topics, other people's information or sharing. I'm like, put your stuff out there. People love you. They're following you. And it was like, I wish I had that. So don't be afraid to promote myself. So okay, we're gonna add that.
That is such a good tip. And that is so important because we don't promote ourselves well enough. A lot of us, especially on the female side, right? We're worried that it looks like we're bragging or that we're trying to say that we're better than people. And it's like, no, I just want you to know what I do.
Exactly.
Right? And
Exactly.
it's hard to remember that. I don't promote myself nearly as much as I should. And that's okay because my schedule's been insane and will be insane for like the next couple of years coming up here. But I'm like, I don't need any more work. And which is a great place to be, right? It's an amazing place to be. But I still have to promote myself because people still need to know what I do so that I do have a funnel that not when, if things change, that that I've got clients that can backfill those positions. And I think that that's just so important to keep in mind. And then even when you're too busy, that's the time to really be promoting yourself. And I needed that reminder. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, people will forget what we do. Because that's happened to me before. And I'm like, well, where did you get your domain name? I'm not telling people.
I'm like, if you ask my parents what I do, I think my dad might have a fairly good answer. I'm like, I don't think my mom, she does marketing. Like, I think that's about all she would be able to answer. And that goes for a lot of, family members, extended family. Like, people in your immediate family don't remember what you do, right? Because it's just not as important and relevant to them as it is to you. And so I think repetition is a big piece of that and really helps us. So, Audrey, this has been amazing. I love all the tips. I love that the transformation was a website and yes, keeping it up to date, right? Looking at yourself as customer service and figuring out how people can touch, feel, and experience you. And again, it doesn't have to be, in a brick and mortar. It can be online trainings and things like that, right? And then avoiding those big branding. Yes, get off of the personal email, get a branded email. Hugely important, right? And then pick two things at a time and then grow. But make sure that you're leveraging those channels or that technology or that membership to the fullest so that people can start to build a relationship with you, right? And see that authenticity, which I think is so important. Before I let you go, though, I do have to ask you the question that I ask all of my guests. And that is that this show is called Imperfect Marketing because marketing is anything but a perfect science. What has been your biggest marketing lesson learned?
Oh, choosing my own advertising paths to go down. And sometimes people can't talk us into anything. We let them talk us into something. Oh, I really resonate. I really like this guy. I'm going to buy this advertisement through him. And this was some years ago, and I bought the advertisement on the shopping carts in the stores. And that was such a waste of money. Even though we as business owners, I'm B2B, we do go shopping, but that's not the majority of where it's more consumer. And that was, to me, that was a big mistake. So really understanding, first of all, knowing your market. We know that, but making sure that you're putting your ad dollars where you can get the biggest return on for your product or service that you're promoting.
Yes, that is so important. And there have been numerous times where I've tried things where it was like, I never would have let a client do this. Why on earth did I do that? again, going back to the cobbler's kids have no shoes, it's very much, taking the time to figure out what we need to do for our businesses. So I think stepping back and identifying that is huge. I had a guest on, feels like yesterday, but I think it was like a couple years ago. And yeah, they spent over $10,000 with different marketing agencies to help them grow their business. And most of it like brought in nothing. And those are big price tags. So, especially for small businesses, and I think that it's really important to make sure that we take the time to understand our audience, understand where they're at, and tell ourselves no, right? When we get hit by an opportunity that just might not be the right fit for what we do, which I think is so important.
Yeah, and if I could add a sidebar to that, it's like there may be a favorite charity or some organization either have say they're still an advertisement, a program booklet, or your logo going across the screen at a live event. You know, do that because you're compassionate about that organization impact they're having on the community, whatever it is. But so you don't really do it for a return. You do that, as that's a give to the community. That's your donation, your investment into, to whatever that impact is that they're going to. So that doesn't count. That's separate, right? So those will be times we'll advertise just for compassion. That would be a passion donation, passion investment in advertising.
Yes, I have a lot of those passion investments. I work with a lot of nonprofits and I love them all. And so, yes, it's definitely about those advertising opportunities that it's just a way to give back to the community and stay connected. So, thank you again so much, Audrey, for all your time today and all your great tips. Hopefully, those of you watching or listening learned something today. I know I needed a few of these reminders myself. So, again, do as we say, not necessarily as we do. Make sure that your kids have shoes, right? For the cobbler's kids have no shoes, and that you're focused on your marketing in the right way. If you learned something today, it would really help me out if you would rate and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Until next time, have a great rest of your day.